Hello and welcome to a circuit bending video. I've started a new series, if you haven't seen the first part, where I have a couple of bearing pedals. I actually have 4 of them right now, and I'm gonna see if I can circuit bend them, find some cool things. If you haven't seen the first video, let me just recap real quick. Circuit bending is you mess around, you poke around in a circuit and you see if you find new, weird, crazy things. It can be for making weird sounds in something. It can also be for maybe example in video. You can circuit bend the camera and find weird, crazy places where you can add new things to distort the picture. That's what you do when you circuit bend the camera. In audio, it's about making weird sounds, which is what we're doing here. Now, a couple of things that we need in order to start. Quickly go through this. I won't go through this in every part, but since this is just episode 2, I feel like I'll do it here. You're gonna need a soldering iron. I have one right here. I'm gonna turn it on to heat it up. You're gonna need a couple of wires, things that we can connect. You're gonna need solder, which I have here. You're gonna need a 9-volt battery for your pedal, because we're gonna do this with 9-volt battery instead of plugging it into the wall, just because, you know, it can be a little bit dangerous poking around, and if it's a 9-volt battery, we won't necessarily, you know, hurt ourselves. You can still hurt yourself, but hopefully you won't, and hopefully it won't be deadly. Good thing to have is a loop pedal. I'm gonna use this one right here. You need a guitar as well. The reason why we use a loop pedal is because then we can create a tiny little loop that we're just playing, and we can mess around with the circuit and see how things are happening in real time. If you don't have a loop pedal, which you don't need, you can do this without one, but then you're gonna have to sit and play while you're messing around, and it might be distracting and hard for you to really pay attention to what is happening, and you might have to solder things in place and mess around in a way that is maybe a little bit harder than if you just have a loop pedal. So I recommend you have a loop pedal. Other things we need is we need switches and things like that. I have some switches over here in this bag. You'll get close-ups when we get in there and we actually solder something. I also have switches. The other ones are more like buttons you can press. But you need an assortment of different kinds of switches and stuff like that. Other things that could be good is also like resistors and capacitors and stuff like that, but that's something we're probably going to talk about later in the series when we've actually messed around with these circuits a little bit more. Last thing you need is you need a circuit pedal, in this case, that you want to mess with. And here I have my pedal. This is the Behringer compressor sustainer, or also known as CS400. I'm going to plug this up and we'll jump into it and we'll see what happens. If we find anything cool, if we don't find anything at all, you know? And hopefully you guys will talk to me in the comments below, and hopefully you guys are joining in and you're circuit bending the same pedals as me, and maybe something else. Maybe you find something cool. Maybe I don't find anything. We'll see what happens. But anyway, let's jump into it now and see what happens. So let's get going. So first, I just have everything plugged in like you would if it was a regular pedal. I have my looper pedal right here. I have a battery here, which is the only difference. You know, I'm running this on battery, and I have all the controls at noon, so that if we find something that is really loud, hopefully we won't destroy our ears listening to that. I also have an amp in the background, and I'll do proper demos of the pedals once we've found all the mods we want to find and things like that, but I don't think it's necessary right now because we're just playing around. We're just messing around with the circuit and having a little bit of fun. The only thing is set the amp to as low as you can. You might have to change it around a bit or jump around. So I'm turning on the amp, and here I have my guitar, and here's the pedal. So yeah, we'll see. I might have to raise the volume on the amp a little bit, because I feel like... Okay, so the idea is basically we record a loop. Here we have the loop pedal, and you don't have to think too much about it. You know, it doesn't have to be a good loop in a sense of like a loop thing. So for example... I'm just gonna go for something like that. I'm just doing something, yeah. It's a good thing to have a little bit of like, and a little bit of, so you can hear the trail, you know, of the notes. Because sometimes you'll find things that do interesting things to the trail. It's cool if we don't miss out on finding those parts, basically. So yeah, Let me just record something real quick. And there we have it, and now we can start the pedal. Yeah, that's how interesting that sounds. So now we just move everything around, because obviously everything will be flipped around. So our input is on the wrong side. There we have it. Try to keep somewhat track of everything. Okay. Now, you can use a cable for this, or you can use alligator clipper like this. I didn't tell you in the beginning that you need those. I did that in the first video, but forgot for this one. So here we have all the parts neatly on the back. And now we can just sort of start messing and see what happens if we take this part here and connect it to this part. And you can hear how there, for example, we lost a lot of volume. So you just go around and you just try to find and sometimes you just have to restart the pedal or pull out the battery and just, you know, let it rest for a bit. Usually you will feel like something broke or something, and that's how you know that you need to do that, to restart the pedal. But yeah, and you can go super, like, you know, go through very methodically and just go, you know. But you can also just jump around everywhere. And there we turned off the pedal. We have to restart it. And yeah. Sometimes you look around and you can see, like, there we have a big part right there. So maybe messing with these legs, for example. So for example, if I put this here, that was loud. So maybe not the first leg. Okay, I think I've found a spot. Let's see here. I think it was there and there. Yeah. So I'm gonna add a wire there. That's just a pin for holding something in place, so it doesn't have a number. It's the pin right next to R24. So it's not R24, but the pin next to it. And then it's the last leg on this ship right here. Kind of a funny sound. So 2 wires there. And if we touch them together, I don't know if you can hear that. Let's see what happens if we put all of the controls to max. It becomes sort of a fussy little thing. Now the question is, if we put something like a pot, what will happen then? Can we maybe control it? I didn't use a pot in my last video. I feel like maybe I should experiment right now. Okay, so okay, no pot, because it becomes either a true bypass or the effect, or just turning everything quiet. So if you put a little bit of resistance there, you can have like a switch that gives you true bypass, and not just the pedal that gives you true bypass. But I think just having a switch instead, you know, we can add a switch with the resistor on it, but I don't think there's a point. I think it's better to just add a switch, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to take one of these switches, and I'm going to pre-tin 2 of the legs, and I'm going to add that there, and we'll just see what happens. And maybe we will find better mods or circuit bends later down the line, but for now, let's go with this one. So there's 1, and there's 2. Now we have our first mod. There we go. Cool. I think that's cool. I hope that's gonna work and be something. We'll have to wait and see. I'm gonna poke around a little bit more and see if I can find another one. But at least we have one mod, so we're at least started on the whole thing. You know, it would be a bummer, I suppose, right? If I did sit here for a couple of hours poking this thing and then didn't find anything. So I'm glad we have at least one thing. That means we have a video. So, okay, you guys are gonna think that I'm being silly now, because this is definitely not the kind of mod that, you know, maybe you want. But, you know, we're not modding this, we're circuit bending it, and I want to prove the point of it. So I found these 2 places. One is called C11 and the other one is called R29. And I'm gonna add a momentary switch in between these 2. There is one, and here's the next one, come on. There we go. And when I press this momentary switch, we're gonna get crazy, weird feedback. That sounds like, I don't know, a pelican's death scream or something like that? I don't know. But listen to this. And this is what I mean with like having fun and being creative and being crazy. So the pedal is on, it's doing its thing, we're playing along, and then all of a sudden we just want to, I don't know, bring in something crazy, and we just press this and we just get a crazy sound. So there we have it. Now we have 2 things on this one. I know this one is technically maybe one thing that no one likes, but I like it, so it doesn't work with the other mod. So that's a shame. So we might not keep it in the long run, but we'll at least keep it for now. I forgot that I had these, but I just randomly found them in between takes. This is just 2 nails, you know, the kind you hammer in with the cable connecting them, so I can use these prongs even better than everything else. Alright, so I found one more thing that I think is funny. And that is this point here and this leg here. And I think I'm gonna put something there, but it's very similar to this. And okay, so the first one is this 14th leg connection, just like 3rd leg on a pot right here, and then it's the 6th leg. And it's gonna be really fiddly getting it in there, but I'm gonna try. So wish me luck. Let's do what I did earlier and try that again, and just see what happens if we connect a pot in between. Just for fun, you know, because it'd be fun if everything we added wasn't just switches, you know? I don't know. I think a switch is what we're gonna go with. Okay, let's see what happens if we press this now. And there we have it. Okay, let's see it. First switch. Nothing's on, everything is stock. Okay, third mod, or whatever you call it, the switch here. They're not that different. And I like the first one the most. I'll leave that switch on for now. The third one, obviously. But yeah, I think we'll stop there. Well, here it is right now, and we have the new little switches and buttons to press right here. As I said in the other video, and that you, if you haven't seen it, don't know, this depends on you guys being interested and you guys joining in, and that you guys are commenting and experimenting so that we can have a back and forth. I'm starting this off with some cool things, maybe, or stupid things, I don't know. And then hopefully you guys go around and maybe you find something. And then I'll come back and maybe I'll find something and maybe I'll try your things out, and then we'll, you know, go back and forth. And we'll see how many videos we do, and then eventually we'll have a crazy pedal with loads of switches and buttons and things to move about. And then re-house this into a new box, because as I've said, the box this pedal was in was stolen. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, I have a bunch of boxes. I'll quickly show you one that I think is really cool. Look at this. Maybe we'll put one of them in this. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, that's the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked it. Let me know by giving me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you in the next video. And hopefully you guys will join in this pedal building, circuit bending experiment thing. We have tested out and tried out now 2 of the 4 pedals. So we have 2 more pedals to go. And we'll see. If this is a hit, we'll continue. If this is not a hit, if you guys think this is boring, we'll move on to something else. Talk to me in the comments below, okay? Until next time. Don't forget to stay awesome and cool and go and do some circuit bending. Yeah, I can speak fast when I try. I promise. I'm gonna go. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye!